When Georgie and Mandy's first marriage was first announced, a lot of fans assumed it would simply extend the quirky, heightened tone of Young Sheldon, just with Georgie at the center instead of his genius little brother. But something interesting happened once the spinoff found its footing. It became more grounded. And in many ways, it feels even more emotionally realistic than the show that came before it. That's not a knock on Sheldon's story. Young Sheldon worked because it filtered family life through the lens of a once-in-a-generation intellect trying to navigate ordinary problems. The contrast between Sheldon's brilliance and the everyday struggles of his family created both comedy and emotional depth. But at the end of the day, Sheldon himself was always extraordinary. Georgie isn't. That's exactly why this spin-off hits differently. In Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, the conflicts aren't built around intellectual isolation or academic ambition. They're built around rent, childcare, pride, and in-laws. It's about two young people who got married fast, had a baby young, and are now trying to figure out how to make adulthood work before they fully understand what adulthood even is. That premise alone grounds the show in a way Sheldon's journey never quite was. Georgie isn't solving theoretical physics problems. He's trying to pay bills. He's not navigating elite universities. He's navigating awkward dinners with Mandy's parents. The stakes are smaller on paper, but emotionally, they feel bigger. Because they're relatable. In Young Sheldon, a lot of the tension revolved around how different Sheldon was from everyone else. His mind created conflict. His rigidity created comedy. But in this spin-off, the conflict comes from something far more universal: miscommunication. Georgie wants to prove himself. Mandy wants stability. Both love each other. Both feel misunderstood. Neither is entirely wrong. That kind of conflict feels closer to real life than genius-level misunderstandings ever could. There's also a tonal shift that makes the spin-off feel more intimate. While Young Sheldon had a broader family ensemble and often bounced between storylines, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage stays focused on the marriage itself. The camera lingers on awkward silences. It lets arguments breathe. It doesn't rush to a punchline every time things get tense. That restraint makes it feel more mature. Another reason the spin-off feels grounded is because it leans into emotional consequences. In Young Sheldon, Sheldon's social missteps were often funny first, painful second. In this series, emotional mistakes linger. When Georgie says the wrong thing, it doesn't just reset by the next episode. It carries forward. When Mandy feels unsupported, it shapes her tone in future conversations. There's continuity in the tension. And that continuity mirrors real relationships more than sitcom structure usually allows. Even the shadow of the Big Bang Theory adds weight. We know Georgie's first marriage doesn't last forever. That knowledge hangs over every disagreement. It makes even small cracks feel meaningful. The show doesn't rely on exaggerated misunderstandings to create drama. It relies on the slow accumulation of pressure. That slow burn makes it feel honest. The performances contribute to that grounded tone as well. Georgie isn't portrayed as a caricature of a young dad. He's flawed but trying. Mandy isn't written as either villain or saint. She's stressed, ambitious, occasionally sharp, but deeply human. Their arguments don't feel scripted for applause breaks. They feel like two people struggling to articulate what they actually need. And perhaps the most grounded element of all is this: neither of them is special in the world's eyes. They're not prodigies. They're not destined for Nobel Prizes. They're not framed as extraordinary in any conventional way. Their story matters because it's ordinary. That ordinariness is powerful. It's easy to build a show around genius. It's harder to build one around vulnerability, around pride swallowing, around financial stress, around admitting you're scared you're not enough. But that's what Georgie and Mandy's first marriage chooses to explore. It strips away the heightened brilliance that defined Sheldon's narrative and replaces it with emotional realism. It asks a simpler, tougher question: can two young people who rushed into adulthood grow fast enough to stay together? There are no equations to solve that. Just conversations, compromise,
and time.
That's why this spin-off feels more grounded. It trades intellectual spectacle for emotional authenticity. And in doing so, It creates a version of the Cooper family story that feels less extraordinary and more real.